Have you ever wondered why certain things keep happening in your life? Why do some losses arrive right when you feel like you're finally getting stronger? Why do some people enter your life at exactly the right moment and leave right when you've grown the most attached? Sometimes something ends, a relationship, a friendship, a phase, a plan. And your first reaction is always the same. Why now? Why me? Why did this hurt so much? But what if the things you experience are not actually random? What if many of the breaking points in your life are not there to punish you, but to teach you something? According to the Stoic philosophers, life is not chaotic. It only seems that way because we cannot see the bigger picture while we're inside it. To them, even the most painful moments in life are not meaningless. Every loss, every delay, every disappointment is part of a deeper order. And here is something most people don't realize. What exhausts us the most in life is not what happens to us, but how we resist it. Today, inspired by Stoic philosophy, we're going to explore why nothing in your life is truly random and what every experience is trying to teach you through 6 powerful ideas. 1. The law of impermanence. Nothing in life stays the same. One of the harshest yet most liberating truths about life is this: nothing is permanent. Not the good moments, and not the bad ones. People change. Relationships change. Your body changes. Your thoughts change. Even the version of yourself you believe to be you will evolve over time. But the human mind resists change because the mind seeks control. It seeks familiarity. It wants stability. And this is where much of our suffering begins. A large part of pain does not come from events themselves, but from our desire for them to stay the same. When something good happens, you want it to last forever. When something difficult happens, you want it to end immediately. But life does not pause for your attachment, and it does not slow down for your fear. This is why the Stoics did not see change as a threat, but as the fundamental law of existence. Marcus Aurelius had a very clear understanding. Everything in life is in a constant state of transformation. And when you fight against that flow, you end up exhausting yourself the most. Think of a river. A river never says, "I want to stay here." A tree does not resist when it loses its leaves in autumn. Nature knows how to let go. But humans often suffer at this exact point, trying to hold on to what is meant to change. When you truly accept impermanence, 2 things begin to shift. First, you appreciate good moments more deeply, because you understand they won't last forever. Second, you don't collapse completely in difficult times, because you know they won't last forever either. Real peace does not come from freezing life, but from learning how to move with it. 2. The root of suffering. Attachment and the need for control. The Stoics saw something very clearly. Most people do not suffer because of what happens, but because reality does not match their expectations. You want someone to always treat you the same way. You want your job to always feel secure. You want your plans to unfold exactly as you imagined. You want things to remain stable. And this is where the problem begins. Because life is not obligated to meet your expectations. Suffering does not always come from loss. It often comes from the thought, "This shouldn't have happened." Seneca expressed this idea powerfully. True strength is not found in never losing what you have, but in not falling apart when you do. This is a critical distinction. Letting go does not mean you stop caring. You can love something without becoming dependent on it. You can value someone without trying to control them. You can enjoy a moment without demanding that it lasts forever. This is what Stoicism teaches. Build connection, but do not build dependency. Because dependency hands your inner peace over to the external world. If your emotional stability depends on someone texting you, on things going according to plan, on everything staying the same, then your inner world is already out of your control. And that is a dangerous place to live from. Learning to let go does not make you cold. In fact, it does the opposite. It allows you to experience life more honestly, without fear, without pressure, without the need to control everything. And that is where true lightness begins. 3. The trap of the mind. Most people don't live life, they think it. Most people are not truly living their lives. They are thinking about them. And those are not the same thing. The mind usually lives in two places, the past or the future. When you live in the past, you feel regret. When you live in the future, you feel anxiety. But life only exists in one place, right now. And yet, most people spend their lives inside mental simulations. A conversation happens, and you replay it for hours. You imagine things that might happen, and you stress about them in advance. A message doesn't arrive, and your mind creates dozens of interpretations. And without realizing it, your mind begins to create more suffering than reality itself. This is why the Stoics emphasized something that still feels modern today. It is not events that disturb you, but the meaning you assign to them. Sometimes what breaks you is not reality, but your interpretation of it. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. You cannot always control what happens outside of you, but you can learn to observe what your mind attaches itself to. This is where awareness becomes powerful. Awareness is not just meditation. It is the ability to not blindly follow every thought your mind produces. Someone criticizes you. Before, you reacted instantly. Now you pause and ask, what exactly did this trigger in me? Why did I react this strongly? This is where maturity begins. Because most people do not respond to life, they react to it. But when awareness increases, you begin to see the gap between reaction and response. And that small gap changes everything. 4. Transforming the mind. Pain is not always the enemy. Most people see pain as something that must be eliminated immediately. When something hurts, you want to escape it. You distract yourself. You suppress it. You ignore it. You pretend you're fine. But here is a difficult truth. What you refuse to face will continue to control you. The Stoics did not romanticize pain, but they did not run from it either, because to them, pain can be a signal. It can show you where you are fragile, where you are dependent, where you are afraid, where you still need to grow. Pain is not always just damage. Sometimes it carries information. Sometimes the thing that hurts you the most is pointing directly to the part of you that needs attention. If criticism affects you more than it should, there may be a deeper issue with self-worth. If rejection completely breaks you, there may be an attachment wound underneath. If delays frustrate you intensely, there may be a need for control. This is why a wise person does not only ask, "Why did this happen?" They also ask, "What is this showing me?" And this is where pain transforms. It stops being just something you carry and becomes something you learn from. Most people miss this because inner transformation does not always feel comfortable. Sometimes it unsettles you first. It exposes you. It challenges you. But that is exactly why it changes you. 5. The wisdom of acceptance. Not loving everything, but seeing clearly. Acceptance is one of the most misunderstood ideas. Many people think acceptance means passivity. But in Stoicism, acceptance is not giving up. It is stopping the fight against reality. Because most people don't suffer from the problem itself, they suffer from wishing it never happened. Something happened. A person disappointed you. A phase ended. You don't have to like it, but fighting reality does not change it. Epictetus made this very clear. It is not events that disturb people, but their judgments about those events. This idea is both harsh and freeing, because it shows you something important. Some things are within your control. Some things are not. And wisdom is knowing the difference. If something is within your control, act. If it is not, stop fighting it. Because fighting what you cannot control only drains your inner stability. This is especially true with people. One of the greatest sources of suffering is this: seeing people not as they are, but as you wish they were, and then breaking when reality reveals itself. Maturity begins when you see people clearly. Peace begins when you stop trying to change them. This does not mean you accept harmful behavior. It does not mean you remove your boundaries. It simply means you no longer confuse reality with your expectations, and that makes you stronger. 6. The hidden lesson. Difficult times often prepare you. There are moments in life that feel completely meaningless while you're inside them. Something collapses, a door closes, a plan falls apart, someone leaves. And in that moment, all you see is loss. But time passes, and one day you look back and realize it had to happen that way. You cannot see this while you're inside the experience, because all you feel is the pain. Meaning often comes later. Stoicism offers a powerful perspective here. Difficult moments are not always there to break you. Sometimes they are there to prepare you. Some endings are not meant to destroy you, but to remove what no longer fits your path. Some delays are not stopping you, but protecting you from going somewhere too early. Some losses are not taking something away, but revealing something deeper. This changes how you see life, because you stop dividing everything into good and bad. Instead, you begin to ask, what is this shaping me into? And that is a much more powerful question, because it moves you out of a victim mindset. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is this preparing me for? And that changes your relationship with pain. You start to see that life is not against you. Yes, it challenges you, but often it does so to expand you. And here is something most people miss. The meaning of many experiences only becomes visible after you survive them. Closing. Maybe your biggest mistake was believing that everything in your life was random. Maybe some things didn't happen because of bad luck, but because there was something you needed to understand. Stoicism teaches this. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you interpret it. You can see every loss as an ending, or as a redirection. You can see pain as punishment, or as information. And maybe true strength does not come from controlling life, but from understanding it. Because some things don't come into your life to break you. They come to wake you up. And sometimes, when life seems like it's taking something away from you, it is actually turning you into someone stronger. And that is where real awareness begins. This is Luminox theory.